With a senior Israeli official who indicated the U.S. naval blockade against Iran is getting exponentially worse for the regime, and the domestic pressure is rising for the Iranian government. Guys?
Hey, Trey, do you believe the Operation Freedom that was put in place on Monday was working or not working? And do you think that had a role in why the president pulled it off?
Regional officials say Project Freedom was working, and it was one of the cards that President Trump is holding against the Iranian regime. And he continues to add cards, one official told me, when it comes to the pressure on this regime. One of those cards was Project Freedom, the other, the broader U.S. naval blockade, and also the president's patience when it comes to dealing with the Iranian regime. Iran thought they could wait out President Trump, and ultimately the president turned that playbook on them. And that is what we're seeing right now. And the reason it appears that the Iranians are returning to the negotiating table, and at least according to initial reports, making some key concessions that they were unwilling to make previously.
So, Trey, what does the timeline look like here? Because we've seen Iran delay. And while they're showing an indication to come back to the negotiating table, Iranian state media is already downplaying this latest development.
So the timeline here is looking at a matter of hours or possibly days for the Iranians to respond to this American proposal. A memorandum, we are told, that includes 14 separate points. And you heard some of those from the Wall Street Journal's reporting overnight. But it is a total block of Iran's nuclear ambitions. It would ensure that not only the enriched material is exported from Iran, but also that the country for at least 15 to 20 years couldn't enrich uranium within their country. Now, some of the details are still being discussed, and the Iranians are likely to respond to this U.S. proposal with details of their own. But the bottom line here is that the president is laying out a very specific path forward. There are two options for the Iranian regime. They can choose the pen or they can choose the sword. One would include them signing a good faith agreement that would lead into more detailed negotiations, and the other would be the Americans resuming their bombing campaign against the Islamic Republic.
We've been hearing these two options for about a good over a month now, the pen or the sword. It's obvious these terrorists have chosen the sword. They are only playing you for media purpose so they could keep control of the Iranians, so they could put out propaganda and say, see, the U.S. has stopped bombing. Now we will open up the strait to other ships. That's what they'll say, and then turn around and shoot a ship at a cargo vessel. There is no dealing with the Iranians. And what I mean is leave. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. Our whole reason we over there is because we still have to buy oil to reach oil on the east and west coast, because it's too expensive because of politics to buy it from the southern states. Because the eastern states, the Democrats, east and west coast, California, New York, those politicians refuse to allow offshore drilling and refuse to allow pipelines to come in and refineries. That's the only reason why we're trying to make sure Iran keeps peace in the Middle East. But Iran has been making profit for years by causing terror spikes oil prices. So Iran and oil companies, they both kind of go hand in hand. They both make a lot of money when oil spikes through the roof. The only way, the one thing to stop it is this blockade Trump's doing. Say, okay, well then you're not going to be able to sell none of your oil. That is a sure way to make them come to the table. But the truth of the matter is we don't need to be in the Eastern Hemisphere. We don't really have no NATO allies. It's all a one-way streak. And we have a whole continent over here, the Americas, North and South Americas, that still needs some help from us to infrastructure, some development. We could really do good by doing trade with them. We do trade in our own backyard. And then once those economies get really developed and are booming, there'll be less of them immigrants coming into our country, right? They won't have a need to. And then if you have a business, it's a lot better to do business, sell your product to South America than all the way to China. So those are some things. I'm gonna push it back to the CNN. To Fox News See what else they got to say on this matter.
On Iranian ports is holding strong, kinda, as the Navy fires upon and disables an Iranian oil tanker trying to break through.
And while Tehran reviews the latest U.S. peace proposal, President Trump says a deal could be right around the corner.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yanks is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey, good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. We are getting new details on the American proposal to end the war with Iran. The Wall Street Journal reports the new U.S. proposal includes Iran handing over all enriched material, a 20-year ban on enrichment, a declaration that Iran doesn't seek nuclear weapons, Iran dismantling key nuclear facilities, inspections if violations do occur, and a ban on underground nuclear work. Iran's foreign ministry says the regime is still examining the memorandum, but a response is expected in the hours or days ahead. President Trump spoke about the prospects of an agreement.
Before we get to what Trump said, I just read a report that Trump agreed to lift up the sanctions on Iran if they abandon their nuclear programs and allow ships to go through freely. I so wish we just get out of the Eastern Hemisphere altogether.
On Wednesday,
we're in good shape. And now we're doing well. Now we have to get what we have to get. If we don't do that, we'll have to go a big step further. But with that being said, they want to make a deal. We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
this comes as we're tracking developments out of the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman, where Central Command says an Iranian-flagged vessel attempted to breach the U.S. naval blockade on Wednesday. The tanker was warned multiple times before U.S. forces fired on the ship. The shots came from the 20-millimeter Gatling gun of an F/A-18 Super Hornet that took off from the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. As the region waits to see what comes next, Israel is continuing its offensive action against Iran's largest proxy, Hezbollah, launching a new strike against the group's Radwan forces in Beirut overnight.
We are maintaining continuous contact with our friends in the United States. I speak with President Trump almost on a daily basis. My people and his people are in contact on a daily basis, including today. I will also speak with President Trump later tonight. There is full coordination between us, and there are no surprises.
Well, this seems like more war. Peace deal, but we just blew up an Iranian tanker. Israel is flirting with Hezbollah. If you know anything about Iran, they need terror to keep gas prices high, but they never expected Trump to blockade and keep all their oil in. They needed gas prices as high as they could be so they can maximize profits. But again, they never expected the U.S. to blockade them to prevent them from selling oil. This is really, if you're a Republican like myself, look, come 2027, I don't want to hear shit about Iran war. I definitely don't want to see no boots on the ground. Yeah, I do like a little get back from all them fucking death to Americas and burning the U.S. flag. Fuck them cocksuckers. I know y'all people think you know everything. Oh, we're doing this for Israel. Okay, so what? We're doing it for Israel. I don't give a shit. Like, screw Iran for real, for real, for real. Like, let's bomb the piss out of him. I don't think he's doing enough, to be honest. But yeah, politically, yeah, gas is high. All companies making a killing, but that has more to do with the East and West Coast in the United States. They refuse to build refineries because of politics. Otherwise, we have no business buying oil in the Middle East. So at the end of the day, we need to pack it up and get the hell out of there. That's what we got to do. I don't know. What y'all think? Is Trump doing the right thing with this war situation? He got in office within months. Gas prices came down tremendously. And now he's screwing around with Iran and gas prices is all the way up. I personally think that should just be their situation. The whole Eastern Hemisphere. You know, fuck Europe. Fuck those allies that think they, you know, they just virtual signal those liberals over there, make those little statements, Road, Hunger Fund, all these little scam organizations they have over there. Screw them all. United States, if we built up the whole Americas and we did good business trade with South America, their economies would flourish, they would have jobs, and the illegals would stop coming over here. They wouldn't need to come to America if their economies was doing good. We need it. That's really where we need to focus, and we can get even bigger if we boost those economies up. You know, it'd be a lot easier for your business to trade with South America than all the way to China. Look, that's my take. This is the unpopular opinion. I am the liberal nightmare. Like, subscribe, share.